The galaxy was filled with many powerful and mysterious civilizations, each with its own strengths and weaknesses. But among all these species, the humans were still a bit of an enigma. Their technology was impressive, yet it was always just out of reach for others to fully understand. This intrigued the Y3, an alien race known for their advanced technology and vast knowledge. They had conquered many star systems, yet the humans living on a small, relatively unknown planet called Earth had something different, a mystery that was too tempting to ignore. The Y3 had spent centuries developing technology that could scan and understand any alien race they came across. Their ships could study a species' biology, understand its culture, and even analyze their military might within hours. They prided themselves on being able to learn everything there was to know about anyone. But when the Y3 sent a fleet to Earth to study human warships, they hit a wall. At first, their scans were simple, just a routine check to evaluate the power of Earth's ships. But as the first few results came back, something strange occurred. The data was incomplete, the readings nonsensical. The Y3 scientists were baffled. They could not comprehend what was in front of them. Human warships, though small compared to the enormous battleships of the Y3, seemed to have no standard structure. Their technology was unlike anything the Y3 had encountered before. Captain Vesk of the Y3 fleet stood on the command bridge, studying the reports with a furrowed brow. He was one of the most experienced officers in the Y3 fleet, a leader known for his sharp mind and deep understanding of alien technology. But now he felt as if he were looking at a puzzle with missing pieces. It was unlike anything he had ever seen. "This isn't possible," he muttered to himself, running his fingers across the console to try a new scan. But the results were the same. The human warships were somehow unreadable. The Y3 had the most advanced scanning equipment in the galaxy, capable of penetrating even the toughest shields and breaking through layers of deception. Yet when they attempted to scan a human warship, the technology seemed to reject them. The scans returned static readings, distorted images, and confusing data that made no sense. It was as though the ships themselves were not entirely physical. "What is going on here?" Vesk questioned aloud, looking to his second-in-command. "We've never encountered a race that could hide itself like this." His second-in-command, Priya, stood quietly beside him, her gaze fixed on the screen. "Captain, this might be a problem bigger than just faulty equipment. It's almost as if the ships are alive." Vesk raised an eyebrow. Alive? He didn't believe in superstition or rumors. The Y3 had studied life forms across the galaxy, but the idea that ships could be alive was something they had never even considered. The crew remained silent, all aware that this was no ordinary mission. The Y3 had encountered many species before, but humans were proving to be unlike anything they had ever studied. And now, the question remained. What made human warships so special, and why was even their smartest technology unable to understand them? Vesk knew they would need to learn more about these mysterious ships. But for now they were stuck. The journey to unravel the truth about humanity had just begun. The Y3 fleet continued to hover above Earth, their ships casting shadows over the planet. The crew was tense, the sense of confusion and frustration growing with every failed scan. Captain Vesk paced on the command bridge, his mind racing as he thought of every possible explanation. But none made sense. What was it about human technology that defied the Y3's most advanced methods of analysis? The problem wasn't just with one ship, it was with every human warship. The moment the Y3 tried to scan them, their instruments would go haywire. Their most precise tools, the ones capable of mapping a star system in minutes, simply couldn't make sense of the human vessels. The data they gathered was incomplete, corrupted, or simply nonsensical. At first, they thought it might have been a glitch, a mistake in their scanning process. But as the attempts grew, so did the mystery. In an attempt to solve the problem, Vesk ordered the fleet's best scientists to devise new scanning methods. They tried everything: holographic scans, gravimetric analysis, and even quantum-level probes designed to break through any shielding or outer layers. Each method ended in failure. Dr. Jaren, the lead scientist on board, stood in front of a large holographic display, her brow furrowed in concentration. "Captain, we've exhausted all the standard methods," she said, her voice tinged with frustration. "There's something here that's actively resisting us. It's as if these ships don't want us to understand them." Vesk's eyes narrowed. "Resisting us? How is that possible? We've never encountered a race that could hide their technology like this. What's inside those ships that's preventing us from seeing it?" The crew of the E3 fleet began to grow restless. They were accustomed to overcoming challenges, but this was unlike anything they had faced. The idea that human ships were somehow alive, as Rhea had suggested, was beginning to feel less like a wild theory and more like a genuine possibility. As Vesk prepared to issue new orders, the communication officer, Asha, interrupted. "Captain, we've just received an encrypted message from one of the human warships," she said, her voice steady but with a hint of awe. "It seems to be coming directly from the Valiant Star." Vesk's heart skipped a beat. The Valiant Star was known as one of the most advanced human warships, a ship that had seen countless battles. It was famous for its resilience and its cunning ability to outmaneuver even the most sophisticated alien fleets. If any ship could reveal the secret of human technology, it was this one. "Put it through," Vesk ordered, his voice firm. The image of a human officer appeared on the screen, his face calm and composed. "This is Captain Harold of the Valiant Star," the human said, his voice deep and confident. "I see your fleet has been having some trouble with our ships." Vesk was taken aback. "You've been watching us?" Captain Harold nodded slightly. "Of course. We've been aware of your fleet for some time. We've also noticed your interest in our warships. I'm afraid that if you're looking for something to analyze, you won't find it easily." Vesk stared at the human officer, unsure how to respond. "Why?" he asked. "What is it about your ships that prevents us from scanning them?" Harold's expression didn't change. "It's not that you can't scan them. It's that you're not supposed to." His words were simple, but they carried an air of mystery. "There's more to human technology than meets the eye. And some things, Captain, are meant to remain hidden." The communication cut off, leaving the E3 captain with even more questions than before. Harold's words hung in the air. Some things are meant to remain hidden. Vesk had always prided himself on uncovering the secrets of the universe, but now, it seemed the humans were hiding something much bigger than anyone had anticipated. The mystery had only deepened, and the E3 were more determined than ever to uncover the truth. But they knew one thing for certain. Human warships were far more than just machines. They were something far beyond their understanding. The tension aboard the E3 fleet was palpable. Captain Vesk sat in his command chair, his fingers tapping the edge of the console as he stared at the empty space outside the bridge's viewports. The communication from Captain Harold of the Valiant Star had left him with more questions than answers. But now he had to make a choice. The E3 had always prided themselves on their ability to outsmart their enemies, to uncover every hidden truth. Yet here, with the humans, they were running into a wall. "We need to understand what's going on," Vesk said, breaking the silence in the room. His voice was steady but tinged with frustration. "Send a message. We will meet them." Rhea, his second-in-command, turned to him. "Are you sure, Captain? We've failed to understand their technology. If they're truly hiding something, this could be dangerous." Vesk's eyes narrowed. "It is dangerous not to know. We cannot afford to back down now. Let's see what they're hiding." Soon, the E3 fleet received a message from the Valiant Star. It was simple and direct. "Coordinates for a meeting will be transmitted. Come alone. We will discuss your failure to understand our ships." The arrogance of the humans was undeniable, yet something about the way the message was worded felt more like an invitation than a challenge. Vesk wasn't one to back away from a challenge, and he saw this as the perfect opportunity to get to the bottom of the mystery. He ordered a smaller ship to depart from the fleet and head to the coordinates provided. As the small Y3 ship approached the designated area, Vesk's heart raced. He had been in countless encounters, both diplomatic and military, but this was different. The human warship. The Valiant Star loomed large in front of them. It was silent, almost haunting in its stillness. There was no sign of aggression, just the eerie calm of something powerful, waiting. The E3 ship slowed as it approached, the human vessel. On the screen, Captain Harold appeared once again. His face was serious, but there was a hint of a smile in his eyes. "You came," he said simply. Vesk didn't waste time with pleasantries. "Your technology, we cannot scan it. Why?" Harold nodded slowly, as if expecting the question. "It's not that you can't," he said. "It's that you shouldn't." He paused, letting the words sink in. "Human technology isn't meant to be understood the way you understand everything else. Our ships are alive, Captain. They grow, adapt, and change. They are a reflection of humanity itself." Vesk blinked, caught off guard by the simplicity of the answer. "Alive?" he echoed. "How is that possible?" Harold's smile faded as he looked out into the vastness of space. "I can't explain it in a way that makes sense to your people, but I can show you." He motioned to the ship's console. "Follow me. I'll take you inside the Valiant Star. You'll see for yourself." Vesk hesitated for a moment, unsure if he should trust the human. But his curiosity and his need to understand was too great. He nodded. "Lead the way." Harold's ship opened its bay doors, allowing the Y3 vessel to dock. Vesk and Rhea stepped onto the human warship, their eyes scanning the sleek organic surfaces that seemed to pulse with life. The air was thick with the scent of something living, not mechanical. As they moved deeper into the ship, Vesk could feel it. The Valiant Star was alive. The walls seemed to breathe, shifting subtly as if responding to their presence. It was unlike anything he had ever experienced. "This is impossible," Vesk muttered under his breath. Harold turned to him, his expression serious. "Human. Technology isn't built like your machines. We don't just create, we evolve. And the warships, they're a part of us." The implications were staggering. The Y3 had never encountered anything like this before. As Vesk took in the strange, living ship around him, he realized that the mystery of the human warships wasn't just about advanced technology. It was about something deeper, something no alien species had ever considered. And for the first time, Captain Vesk began to wonder if the Y3 were truly ready to face what humanity had become. As Captain Vesk and Rhea followed Captain Harold through the vast corridors of the Valiant Star, the realization of what they were witnessing began to settle in. The ship's walls, made of a material that seemed to breathe and shift with every step, felt alive. The organic nature of the warship was something the Y3 had never encountered, and it was both fascinating and unnerving. Harold led them to a central chamber, the heart of the Valiant Star. In the center of the room stood a large circular formation of glowing symbols, ancient yet advanced, as if the ship itself was part of a larger, more ancient system. Vesk and Rhea looked around, their minds racing with questions. "This is the core of the ship," Harold said, his voice calm but full of pride. "It is where the ship's life force resides. It is part of us, and we are part of it." Vesk couldn't hold back any longer. "But how? How is this possible? We've studied countless species, and none of them have technology like this. Why didn't we know about this before?" Harold smiled softly, as though he'd been expecting the question. "Humanity doesn't just build machines. We create life. Our warships, our technology, it all evolves, adapts. Every ship is a reflection of our ability to adapt to the universe. They are more than tools. They are living, breathing entities." Rhea spoke up, her voice filled with awe and skepticism. "But how do you control them? How do you make them work if they are alive?" Harold's eyes gleamed with understanding. "That's the human advantage. We don't just control our ships, we bond with them. The warships are designed to recognize their human crews, to link with them on a level that is beyond your comprehension. It's a partnership, not a command. Our ships respond to us, and we respond to them. They grow, evolve, and adapt just like us. Vesk was still struggling to wrap his mind around the concept. He had spent his entire life studying alien technology, understanding it in mechanical terms. The idea of a living warship, of technology that wasn't just advanced but alive, was something he couldn't fully grasp. But one thing was clear: humanity had found a way to merge biology with technology in a way that was far beyond what the Y3 had achieved. Harold gestured to the central formation in the room. This is what makes us different from every other species. Our technology doesn't just exist in isolation. It grows with us, it evolves with us. That's why your scans don't work. Your technology is based on fixed systems, machines that are static, unchanging. Ours is dynamic, alive. Vesk looked at the glowing symbols and felt the power in the room. He could feel it in his bones, the deep, almost primal connection between the humans and their warships. The Y3 had always relied on their superior technology to dominate other races, but now they were facing something new. Humanity didn't just have advanced machines, they had something that could adapt, change, and survive. It's not just about the ships, Harold continued, his tone growing more serious. It's about survival. We don't just build to fight, we build to endure. Our warships are designed to protect us, to keep us alive when the galaxy turns against us. Vesk felt a chill run down his spine. The implications were enormous. If what Harold said was true, humanity had unlocked a secret that the Y3 and every other species had missed: the ability to blend technology with life itself, creating something truly unstoppable. The Y3 had always considered themselves the masters of technology. But now, standing in the heart of the valiant star, Vesk realized that they had underestimated humanity in the most fundamental way. Humans weren't just another species to conquer. They were a force to be reckoned with. As the realization set in, Vesk knew that the galaxy would never look the same again. Humanity had shown them a glimpse of what they could become, and it was clear that the Y3 were not prepared for what was coming. 20 Mini. The atmosphere aboard the Valiant Star was thick with tension. Captain Vesk stood silently, his eyes glued to the central core, where the ship's life force pulsed with an eerie glow. He had just been told the most incredible thing he had ever heard: that human warships were not merely machines but living, breathing entities. The implications were staggering. If humanity could combine biological processes with technology, they were no longer just a technological power. They were something else entirely. Vesk's mind raced as he turned to Rhea, who stood beside him. Her expression mirrored his own disbelief. They had spent years studying alien technologies, mapping out star systems, and understanding advanced species. Yet here, in the heart of the Valiant Star, they were faced with a revelation that threatened to shatter everything they thought they knew. Harold's voice broke the silence. This is what makes us different from every other species. We don't build static machines. We build living systems. Our warships can adapt, regenerate, and evolve. They grow stronger as we do. Vesk turned to face him. How can something like this even exist? How do you control it? His voice was filled with a mix of awe and fear. The Y3 had always prided themselves on their control over technology, but now they were faced with something they couldn't control or even fully understand. Harold smiled softly. We don't control them in the way you think. We bond with them. The ships are part of us and we are part of them. They respond to our thoughts, our emotions. We share a connection that goes beyond anything mechanical. He paused, letting the weight of his words settle in the air. And that's why no one can scan them. Not you, not anyone. The captain's mind churned. If humanity had created technology that was alive, capable of bonding with its creators, then they had unlocked a power that could not be ignored. The potential for both creation and destruction was limitless. And the worst part? The Y3 had no idea how to deal with it. As the realization settled over him, Vesk began to understand why even the smartest alien races had never dared to fully confront humanity. It wasn't just about advanced technology. It was about resilience, adaptability, and an unmatched ability to survive in the most hostile environments. Human warships were not just tools of war. They were weapons of survival, capable of withstanding forces that would crush lesser civilizations. Harold's voice interrupted Vesk's thoughts. "Captain, there's something more I need to show you." His tone was more serious now. "You've seen our ships, but there's more. What you don't understand yet is that our warships are not just about power. They are a direct reflection of our survival instincts. Our people have faced extinction before, and we've learned how to adapt." Vesk's eyes narrowed. "What do you mean, extinction?" Harold looked away as if searching for the right words. "Humanity has been through wars, disasters, and trials that would have wiped out any other species. We've learned to evolve, to grow stronger with each challenge. Our ships, they are the product of that evolution. They are not just machines. They are the result of humanity's drive to survive." Vesk took a step back, his mind struggling to keep up. The concept of humanity's ships being a product of survival, not just war, was a game changer. The Y3 had always thought of warships as tools for conquest, but the humans had created something far more dangerous, a weapon built not for victory, but for endurance. The realization hit him like a wave. If the galaxy underestimated humanity now, it would be too late by the time they understood what had truly been unleashed. Vesk knew that this revelation could change the balance of power forever, and humanity wasn't just a species to be studied anymore. They were a force to be reckoned with. "Captain," Harold said, his voice quiet but firm, "you need to understand that we didn't build these ships for power. We built them to survive. And now the question is, can you and your people accept that humanity's place in the galaxy has already been secured?" Vesk swallowed hard. He had never felt more uncertain about his next move. One thing was clear. The Y3 had to decide quickly whether to continue underestimating humanity or to recognize them as a force that would shape the future of the entire galaxy. The danger of the situation was just beginning to dawn on him. Captain Vesk stood in the heart of the Valiant Star, the human warship that had shaken everything he thought he knew about technology and warfare. His mind raced, trying to digest the implications of what he had just learned. Human warships weren't just advanced machines. They were living, evolving beings, tied to the very survival instincts of humanity itself. What had seemed like a simple reconnaissance mission had now become a test of understanding a civilization that was far more complex than anything the E3 had anticipated. As Vesk tried to piece everything together, Captain Harold approached him again, his face more serious than before. "Captain Vesk, I think you need to see something," Harold said, his tone calm but resolute. Vesk raised an eyebrow. "What is it?" Harold motioned for him to follow, and Vesk, still puzzled, walked alongside the human captain down a narrow corridor of the ship. They came to a large, circular chamber, bathed in soft light. At the center of the room stood a massive, living core, a large structure pulsating gently, much like a beating heart. The chamber seemed to vibrate with a quiet energy. "This," Harold began, "is the heart of the Valiant Star. It's where the ship's consciousness resides. It's not just a machine, Captain. It's a part of us. And now, I want to show you something that might help you understand just how far we've come." Vesk's gaze remained fixed on the structure, his mind struggling to make sense of what he was seeing. The idea that this ship, this entire vessel, was alive seemed impossible. Yet, standing here in this chamber, he could feel it in the air, a sense of life he had never felt before. Without another word, Harold stepped forward and touched the surface of the core. The moment his hand made contact, the structure glowed brighter, and the room seemed to hum with energy. A soft, deep voice filled the chamber, a voice that seemed to come from everywhere at once. "Human bond. Connection strong." Vesk's heart skipped a beat. "What is that? Is that the ship speaking?" Harold nodded. "Yes. The Valiant Star has a consciousness. It's aware, and it can communicate with us. But it is also connected to all human warships. They share this bond, this unity. It's why we can't fully explain it to anyone who hasn't experienced it firsthand. Vesk's mind was spinning. He had heard of advanced AI, but this was nothing like that. This was something deeper, something organic. It was as if the warship was alive in the truest sense of the word. I don't understand, Vesk admitted. How is this possible? How did humanity come to create something like this? Harold looked at him, his expression softened. It wasn't easy. It took centuries of trial and error, and many failures. But we learned to merge technology and biology. We learned to create not just machines, but beings capable of thinking, adapting, and growing. As the glow of the core dimmed, Harold turned to Vesk, a more serious expression on his face. We didn't just create warships, we created our future. Our ships are not just tools of destruction, they are protectors of humanity. And as we've seen, they are capable of defending humanity against any threat. Even if that threat comes from the galaxy itself. Vesk felt the weight of Harold's words. The human warships were more than weapons. They were humanity's safeguard, a living testament to their ability to adapt and survive. He couldn't deny the growing respect he felt for the humans, but a sense of unease also settled in. If the human fleet was as powerful as it seemed, and if they could grow and evolve like the ships themselves, then humanity was not just a rising power. It was a force that could reshape the balance of the entire galaxy. Harold spoke again, his voice almost a whisper. Now, Captain, I want to offer you a gift. You've come here seeking answers, and you deserve to know the truth. But more than that, I want you to understand why humans fight, and why we will continue to fight for our place in the stars. The room grew silent as Harold's words echoed in Vesk's mind. This gift, Vesk wasn't sure what it was, but the moment felt like the beginning of something much larger. He realized then that the galaxy's understanding of humanity and their role in it was about to change forever. As the human warship, the Valiant Star, continued to hover in space, the quiet hum of its organic engines seemed to echo throughout the chambers. Captain Vesk stood at the bridge, his mind filled with a mixture of awe and uncertainty. He had been shown something beyond the We-Three's understanding, something that defied all logic and technology. The human warships weren't just machines, they were living, evolving entities, capable of adapting and growing stronger with each passing challenge. And now, the question was, what would the galaxy do with this newfound knowledge? The We-Three fleet had long considered themselves the most advanced race in the galaxy, but the encounter with the Valiant Star had shaken that belief to its core. The humans, it seemed, had found a way to not just survive but thrive, by merging technology with life itself. And now, the rest of the galaxy would have to face the reality that humanity had risen to a level of power and adaptability that no one had anticipated. News of the E3's encounter with the humans spread quickly throughout the galaxy. Within hours, reports began flooding in from other races, each one eager to learn more about the strange and powerful human warships. The question on everyone's mind was the same. What were these human ships capable of, and could they be stopped? The galaxy's most advanced civilizations began to take notice. The Xanthi, a race known for their immense intelligence and technological prowess, were the first to respond. Their leaders convened in a vast high-tech council chamber, their faces reflecting a mixture of curiosity and concern. We cannot afford to ignore this, Zorv, the leader of the Xanthi Council, said. Humanity has shown us something that no other species has ever achieved. We must understand how their ships function before we are caught off guard. I agree, said another council member, Shira. But we must also be cautious. If their warships are truly alive, they may be able to adapt to any strategy we devise. This is not like anything we've faced before. The Xanthi Council was not the only one concerned. The Terak, a race of massive, powerful beings known for their brute strength, gathered in their own war room to discuss the new threat. We have the force to crush any enemy in our path, said Commander Garrick. But the humans have something we don't. They have ships that grow stronger as they fight. How can we defeat an enemy that evolves with every battle? As the galaxy's most powerful races convened, one thing became clear. Humanity had changed the rules of warfare. Their warships, capable of adapting, regenerating, and evolving, were unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. The We-3 had been the first to learn this lesson, but they would not be the last. Every civilization that had once considered humanity weak or primitive now found themselves rethinking their stance. On Earth, Captain Harold of the Valiant Star watched as the messages came in from the other races, each one filled with questions, requests for alliances or demands for answers. He wasn't surprised. He had known that the moment humanity showed its true potential, the galaxy would take notice. But he also knew that the humans were not just showing off their power. They were sending a message. The galaxy had underestimated humanity, and now the humans were ready to show that they could stand their ground. The next few years would determine whether the galaxy would accept humanity as a legitimate power, or whether they would try to destroy what they did not understand. In the end, humanity's greatest strength wasn't just its technology or its warships. It was its unyielding will to survive and to fight for a place in the stars. As the galaxy watched, they would soon realize that humanity was not a force to be feared alone. They were a force that would change the very fabric of the galaxy itself. The tension across the galaxy was palpable. The events surrounding the Valiant Star and its human crew had sent shockwaves through every major civilization. No one had expected humanity to rise so quickly, to possess warships that were not only advanced, but alive. Every message from human leaders like Captain Harold only deepened the uncertainty, but it also revealed something else. Humanity wasn't interested in conquering the galaxy. They simply wanted to be left alone, respected for their strength. The E3 fleet, still hovering just outside Earth's atmosphere, had gathered once again to discuss their options. Captain Vesk stood on the command bridge, his hands resting on the console. The data they had gathered in the past days was overwhelming. The E3 had faced defeat before, but this was different. They had never encountered an enemy so adaptable, so deeply intertwined with its own technology. Vesk glanced at Rhea, his second-in-command. Her face showed a mixture of awe and caution, just like his own. "We've done everything we can to understand them," Vesk said quietly. "But it's clear that the humans are not like any species we've encountered. Our technology is useless against them." Rhea nodded slowly. "The Valiant Star isn't just a ship. It's a living being, and its crew. They're bonded with it. This is something we've never seen before. Even if we wanted to defeat them, it's not about military might anymore. We'd be fighting against something alive, something that grows stronger with every battle." Vesk sighed, rubbing his temples. The Y3 had always been at the forefront of galactic exploration, their technology unmatched. But now they faced a reality where their superiority didn't guarantee victory. Humanity had proven that they could hold their own, and more. The Y3 fleet had come to a difficult conclusion. "Perhaps it's time we stop trying to understand them as enemies," Vesk said, finally voicing the thought that had been circling his mind for hours. "Perhaps it's time we offer peace." Rhea looked at him, surprised. "Peace? After everything we've seen? After the damage they could do with their technology?" Vesk met her gaze. "Yes, peace. We can't fight against something that evolves faster than we can predict, and we certainly can't conquer a species that's learned how to bond with their technology so deeply. We've pushed them too far already. If we continue, there's no telling what they'll do. But if we offer peace, we might just ensure that they remain a valuable ally, not a future enemy." Rhea was quiet for a moment, then nodded. "I understand. But what will the rest of the galaxy say? They'll see our decision as weakness." Vesk smiled slightly. "Let them. The galaxy doesn't always have to see us as the most powerful. Sometimes being wise enough to know when to stop is the greatest strength we can show." The decision was made. The E3 fleet would return to their home world, and Vesk would send a message to the humans. They would acknowledge humanity's strength and invite them to a new kind of relationship, a diplomatic one where both races could thrive in the galaxy without constant conflict. The next day, the E3 fleet sent their message. It was simple. We acknowledge the strength of humanity. We offer peace and respect, and we hope for a future where we can share the stars. As the message was sent, Captain Harold of the Valiant Star received it. He was not surprised. He had expected this response, but still, a small part of him had hoped for something different. Perhaps an answer that involved more confrontation. But the peace offer was the right decision for the humans, just as it was for the E3. Back on Earth, the response from other galactic races was mixed. Some were wary of humanity's sudden rise to power, while others saw the potential for an alliance. But one thing was clear. Humanity's place in the galaxy had been secured, not through brute force, but through the understanding that peace and survival were worth more than endless conflict. The U3 fleet turned its course, heading back into the depths of space, leaving Earth behind. As Captain Vesk looked out at the stars, he knew that the galaxy had just entered a new era, a time when humanity would no longer be underestimated. And he wondered what this new chapter would bring for both the humans and the U3, who now shared a fragile but important peace. The galaxy was watching. The message from the E3 had been received by leaders of every major civilization. It had been unexpected, and many found it difficult to believe. The E3, once known for their fearsome power and technological supremacy, had offered peace to humanity. But now, as the stars stretched endlessly before them, humans knew their place in the galaxy was no longer up for debate. Captain Harold stood at the bridge of the Valiant Star, gazing out at the endless expanse of space. The stars seemed to glow brighter than ever, as if the entire universe were acknowledging the new order. The Y3, once the unchallenged leaders of the galaxy, had admitted that humanity was a force they could no longer ignore. Harold's thoughts were interrupted by a soft beep from the communication console. He turned to see a message flashing across the screen. It was from Earth's highest command, a response to the E3's peace offer. Harold's fingers hovered over the console for a moment before he pressed the button to read it. The message was simple but clear. Humanity accepts your offer of peace. We are ready to share the stars, but we will not be forgotten. Our place among the galactic powers has been secured. A small smile tugged at the corner of Harold's lips. Humanity had always been strong, but now for the first time the galaxy had recognized it. The human fleet, led by ships like the Valiant Star, would no longer be pushed aside or underestimated. They would be respected. As the days passed, the news of humanity's newfound place in the galaxy spread quickly. Some races, like the Zorathians and the Xanthi, welcomed the idea of an alliance. They saw the strength and adaptability of human technology and understood the potential benefits of working together. Others, more cautious and proud of their own advanced civilizations, remained wary of humanity's power, unsure of the long-term consequences. But the truth was clear to all. Humanity had proven itself. The Valiant Star, alongside other human warships, had demonstrated not only the power of technology, but the resilience and survival instincts that had allowed humanity to endure countless challenges on Earth. The humans didn't fight simply for domination. They fought to survive, and that gave them a strength no other race could match. Captain Vesk, back aboard the E3 fleet, reviewed the messages from other galactic leaders. The E3 had sent their peace offer, but the response was far more mixed than expected. The Terrak, the brutal warrior race known for their might, still viewed humanity as a potential threat. They had seen the power of the Valiant Star firsthand, and did not like the idea of a species with the ability to adapt so rapidly. But even among those who remained cautious, the acceptance of humanity's place in the galaxy was inevitable. The truth was, no one wanted to be the first to challenge humanity now. They had already proven that they could stand their ground, and that was something no one could easily ignore. On Earth, the mood was one of quiet celebration. The peace offered by the E3 wasn't just a victory for the military, it was a victory for all of humanity. The message had been sent loud and clear. Earth was not a planet to be forgotten or overlooked. Humans had a place among the stars, and they would defend it at all costs. As Captain Harold stood on the bridge of the Valiant Star, he couldn't help but feel a sense of pride. Humanity had always known they were capable of great things, but now they had proven it to the galaxy, and the stars seemed to shine just a little bit brighter, knowing that the age of humanity had truly begun. The stars seemed to shine a little brighter now, as if acknowledging humanity's new place in the galaxy. For centuries, Earth had been just another small, relatively unknown planet in a vast and sometimes hostile universe. Now, humanity had proven it was not just a passive player. It was a force to be reckoned with. The galaxy had seen what humanity could do, and there was no turning back. Captain Harold stood on the bridge of the Valiant Star, his eyes fixed on the vast emptiness of space. The E3 had offered peace, but the galaxy's response was far from simple. Some species had accepted humanity's newfound place with open arms, eager to form alliances and explore what humanity had to offer. Others, like the Terrak, had remained wary and unsure about the long-term consequences. But for Harold, one thing was clear. Humanity had earned the right to stand alongside the galaxy's great powers. No longer would they be ignored or underestimated. The humans had not only shown strength through their warships, but through their ability to survive and adapt in ways no other species could. The message that had come from Earth's highest command was a declaration of intent. Humanity was not going to hide in the shadows. They had made their place in the stars, and they would not be forgotten. The future was wide open, filled with possibilities and challenges. As the days passed, the Valiant Star continued its journey through the stars, exploring new frontiers and engaging in diplomatic discussions with other civilizations. There was no rush to conquer, no desire to dominate. Humanity's power lay in its resilience and its will to survive, to adapt, and to grow stronger. That was the message they had sent to the galaxy, and it had been heard loud and clear. Harold looked out at the stars once more, his mind turning toward the future. The galaxy was changing, and humanity was at the heart of that change. The peace offer from the Y3 had opened the door, but it was up to humanity to decide what to do next. The galaxy might have accepted them, but now they had to prove that they could not only survive, but thrive in this new, complex world. Back on Earth, leaders were already planning the next steps. Humanity would need to strengthen its alliances, build new relationships, and continue to develop its technology, especially the living warships that had made such an impact. But there were also dangers ahead. Not every race in the galaxy would welcome humanity with open arms, and some would undoubtedly seek to challenge them. But Harold had no doubt that humanity was ready. They had faced so many challenges on Earth, wars, natural disasters, and the constant fight for survival, and had emerged stronger each time. Now, with the stars within reach, humanity was no longer a species on the fringes. They were part of something much larger, something that would shape the future of the entire galaxy. As the Valiant Star sailed through the stars, Captain Harold could see it. The future of humanity. A future filled with possibilities, challenges, and the promise that no matter what the galaxy threw at them, humanity would continue to stand strong. Their journey had just begun, and there was no telling how far they could go.